Would you like to convert more sales on Amazon? If that's the case, you definitely should watch this video. We're going to talk about A+ content, which is not a new thing, but I think it is on the radar of something that many sellers probably have just thrown up in their listing, and it's collecting virtual dust as time goes on. It hasn't really been optimized, and there's probably little things they could do and implement right away to see big results in more conversions, more sales, and even ranking for more keywords than they were ranking for before. My name is Kevin Sanderson from My Amazon Guy, and I'm going to show you why A+ content as a redo could be beneficial for your brand and for your business, why I think Amazon is even pushing us that direction, and show you some examples of things that you can implement right away. One thing I just wanted to note is Amazon, less than a month ago as I record this, put out a news article about help boost sales with A+ content. Now, they're not just going to put out a news article about A+ content, which is a feature that's been around for like 5 years now, maybe even longer than that. At the end of the day, they're only going to take the valuable real estate that they have for, news to put out in front of sellers if they think it's beneficial both for you and for them. So here they're taking this real estate to say why A+ content is so beneficial. Now, of course, you have to be brand registered. If you're not brand registered, we do have trademark services to get you brand registered here at My Amazon Guy. But A+ content can help your product and your brand stand out more from the competition. And they go into a few more bullet points, which I don't necessarily think those watching this probably necessarily need to have that. But at the end of the day, it's going to help you get more sales, rank for more keywords. Let's go through some examples of a well-optimized listing with A+ content. This particular product, just in full disclosure, our founder, Stephen Pope, this is actually a brand he founded. You can see frequently brought together. This is not A+ content, but it's his brand brought together. Many of the products that are related to this item, which they don't really want people to know, but it's sponsored, of course. So these are ads. So there is a defensive position taken of filling up at least a good chunk of them. Now, you can't necessarily control what Amazon shows and what they don't, but at least you can see that was a defensive stance was taken. Now, this here is something that's a little more in your control as you put the from the brand. Notice how I scroll down, and that takes up more vertical real estate, but it also takes horizontal real estate because people can scroll and they can see other things. They can see the products in use, other products that are similar to that. You have the model. We tend to find the face looking at the camera can help you with conversion. So always keeping that in mind when you have product that if they're looking at the camera, that's beneficial. This could be debatable, but with luxury items, sometimes if the model's looking away, because it's kind of more people are creating the thought of the themselves living at whatever that lifestyle is for luxury. But for more practical things, which this is, people want to feel like they're connected to the brand and your model, even though they're not actually there, they're not actually making eye contact with the person looking at it, but it does create this feeling of engagement with a human being, because at the end of the day, we're wired to want connection with a human being. So scrolling over here, another model looking straight at the camera, holding the product. You can see she just got out of the bath. This is brand story. So it's kind of like A+ content, but not really. But scrolling down here, now we get to the product description. Now, usually the product description, it's a field that's just text. And if you have A+ content, it takes over that field where that text was for the product description and creates even more scrolling. So a couple things that were really good here is, showcasing all the different types of handmade soaps that they have here, giving you examples of more horizontal. If you think about it, people have kind of been wired swipe left, swipe right. So people are scrolling and they're swiping left and right. So the more you give people the ability to engage and interact with your listings, the more they're bought into it. Because if you think about it, every little time they scroll, whether it be up and down or left and right, that's what I would call a micro commitment, meaning it's one little tiny action that's just getting them a little bit more and more and more connected to your product, which means they're more likely to purchase. So here's another model. Now, in this case, she's looking at the product, which is a good thing as well. We had other examples where the models were looking at the camera, so you can have a mix of both. Now, one thing I just want to point out is, everybody's talking about AI these days, and the more you have benefits in your images that AI is able to read, that's beneficial. But you also want to have what's called crawlable text. And so So crawlable text is actual text in the HTML. It's actual text on the website itself as opposed to in a picture. So notice how here, you probably can't see it, but I'm holding down my the button on my mouse. I can't highlight the same way that I can highlight here. So because that text is on the image, I can't highlight it, whereas this I can. So this is crawlable text. You want to have crawlable text in your A+ content. You don't necessarily need it in every module, but like, for example, you see there are some modules you're probably familiar with that are just images, that are just scrolling carousels, but also some where you can include text, such as this one here, where you've got the image on the right and the text on the left. And they also have a version, I'm sure you're probably familiar with it, can do the opposite, where the image on the left, text on the right. And then over here, you can see we've got where these circles are here. Now, you don't have to have circles quite like this, but where you have like some cases, I think 3, some cases 4. There's just different modules that have different amounts of images, but each one of these gives you more opportunity for crawlable text. So you have your benefits, then you go into a little bit more into it here. So, things like artisanal soap, and then including like what the product includes. There's some other keywords that they're, incorporating in handcrafted bar. You can incorporate a lot of keywords. Now, here's a little hack that a lot of people don't realize is you also can do what's called crawlable text in your alt text. So your alt text is a feature that really most images on the internet have some sort of crawlable text. And what that allows you to do is put in more text that the search engines can crawl. The point of the alt text is giving the search engines and people who can't see the image the ability to know what that image is about. So if you think about it like spiders crawling the internet, which is what like Google's spiders are that go out and figure out what's on the internet, they're looking at just HTML code. And so alt text is included in the HTML code to describe what that image is. Amazon's algorithm also reads the alt text on its own website, and it doesn't give us the opportunity to put alt text on all images, but it does allow us to put in alt text on many types of A+ content images. So each of these 4 gives us the opportunity to put in 100 characters of alt text. So you can put 100 characters of alt text in each image there, alt text here, and then here we've got, discover more gift ideas from Age of Sage. But this is another way that we can get more both cross-selling real estate, but then also defensive real estate. Because as people scroll, now they have to come all the way down here before they start seeing compare with similar items, which is more of an Amazon added feature. So Amazon has this feature with a comparison chart, but you can also have a comparison chart with your A+ content. So these are all things you should think about. Is your A+ content still look up to date? Is it still visually pleasing? Was it visually pleasing to the standards of 2020, or is it of what people are looking for in 2025? Just ask yourself that question. And do you have crawlable text? Do you have alt text? Are you cross-selling other items? Now, in addition to your A+ content, you also have a brand story. So these are all things to think about, because if you're the customer and you're scrolling, you're like, oh wow, there's all this. You're learning, you're making micro commitments as you scroll down the page. Then if you look at, let's say, another listing that I found earlier, this one here, main image definitely needs some work. I don't even know what that is. If it's soap, why don't I see bars of soap? These are, I'm assuming, like, for one, they really should turn this so it's facing you so you can see like the value statements that they're making. But like, nobody can read. I can't even read as I zoom in. I guess one of those is aloe cucumber, but like, you really have to read. So somebody's looking at the search results page or even lands on this page, they're not going to know right away what this is. It's very hard to figure out. Then you scroll down here. Now notice they still have the product description, the actual product description. That means they're missing out on A+ content, and they're also missing out on brand story. So products related to this item right here, which is, I see all these other different brands, and then compare with similar items, which, oddly enough, Age of Sage, I didn't plan that, but there it is. And then down here, more real estate of their competitors. So there's not a lot to sell me. So if I'm the customer, as I'm scrolling down, I got all these distractions. The frequently bought together, other brands, product description that no one really reads. I shouldn't say no one, but most customers, let's be honest, they're scrolling. And as we like to say, pictures are for people, the words are for robots. So looks pretty at a glance, well written, but at the end of the day, A+ content would definitely help them here. So there's too many distractions, whereas they can eliminate from a defensive standpoint some of those distractions by having more A+ content, but they could also have more conversion related content, which plays both defense and offense because it helps sell the product, but then it also helps the customer make an informed decision, and it keeps away, it pushes out some of the competition. So this listing definitely needs some work. And nothing against this listing. I'm sure it's a great product with good people, but if your product needs some work, Amazon does have guides, like for example, this A to Z guide for brand story and A+ content. It can be a little bit overwhelming if you're not familiar with all this, how you build it, how you add it, what worked for A+ content in the past may not necessarily work as well today. So if you do need help, we do have services available. You could grab our A+ content, whether you need standard A+ content, premium A+ content, which does require that you qualify for it with a certain number of edits to your A+ content that you've been approved for. And so if you have that, we can help you with either of them. We can also help with a brand story as well. So if you're looking to upgrade some of your listings, you could always grab A+ content and then a brand story if you don't already have that. And that's a great way to get in front of more customers, because you'd be able to have in your alt text fields, which even if you do this on your own, make sure that you have at least 100 characters in your alt text field. You have crawlable text in several of the modules, taking a defensive standpoint of also cross-selling some of your other products. People can scroll not just up and down, but left and right across the carousel and your brand story, ways to keep people on your page and engaged. And the longer they stay on your page and engaged, the more likely they are to purchase your product. And like I said in the beginning, Amazon's putting this in news about why you should get A+ content. And that's not by mistake, and that's not haphazard. That's because they have data around that. So if you need help with your A+ content, at the time I record this video, for a limited time, we are offering services like A+ content and brand story for 10% off, which we'll have a link to down below. So hopefully this video helped you at least see some of the things you could do with your A+ content to improve your listing and scale your business. Again, I'm Kevin Sanderson from My Amazon Guy, and I thank you for watching.
I know the Amazon grind can be overwhelming. From account issues to low traffic, it's a lot to handle. That's where My Amazon Guy steps in. Scan the QR code or click the link, and let's work together to boost your sales and make your life easier.